welcome to another episode of International Immersion. I'm here, your host, Hedman.
Sean.
Scarlett. Hi.
And today's topic is gonna be banking / currency exchange / just money overall. From the perspective of a Chinese to US, US to Chinese, or just a foreign to a foreign country. If you've traveled, you've always had to deal a little bit with foreign currency. A lot of countries don't have the same credit systems as we have in the US, so something that you might have to do is exchange it for some euros, yen, or RMB.
Very good. Yes. Yeah, and as you may have noticed, we did a episode in the past about banking in China, and we kind of touched on this a little bit about as a foreigner going to China, if you are there long enough, you may have to use the Chinese banking system and and everything that comes along with it, monetary system, etc. So we thought it'd be a kind of a nice counterbalance to talk a little more about just travel in general and how people manage money when they travel and how they adapt to new systems, and also having a Chinese person's perspective of coming to the U.S. and using our financial system and banking system. It's kind of a good contrast.
Yeah, so Sean, when he went to China,
I hope I didn't go to the U.S. again. I'm already a U.S.
citizen. You did go back to the U.S.
Yeah, I'm back now.
You had the school kind of set up a bank account for you.
Yes, because when I went there to start my master's degree, I got a scholarship, and part of it was a monthly stipend for research and also just for living expenses, so I could do my program. So, what happened was when I got there, after the first couple of days, the school opened a bank account for me along with the other students or the other international students who got the same award I did, and then they gave us some paperwork, and then we went to the bank and opened the account. They gave us their debit card, and at that time, the university I was at, they used Bank of China or 中国银行. So when I went there, I got my card, but I had to put some money into the bank account to start it. They didn't open it because it took them a few weeks for us to get our first stipend, and actually they told us it would take a few weeks, but it actually took almost a month. So, but the nice thing is we got 2 months of stipend at one time. So it was a bit rough, but once we got it, it was good. But I remember I had to take the renminbi I had, and I just put 10 renminbi or Chinese yuan into the bank account to open it. And that's all I had to do. But it still took quite a while. I was there over an hour because there was paperwork. All the paperwork was in Chinese. And luckily it was relatively faster than maybe other foreigners going because the school had already done most of it. We just had to do our portion of it. But it was still a shock because it was very different from the U.S. banking system, especially the environment within the bank itself.
Yeah.
So prior to your trip, you actually did a currency exchange?
Yes, and I actually did it in China. I did some at the airport, and I did some at a bank. Most of the airport because I needed quick cash and it was a good deal, but in retrospect, I wish I would have waited because even though I got a pretty decent deal, I could have got a better deal if I would have done more at the bank. But it was really important because I took $500 and then I converted that and it came out to a little more than 3,000 Chinese yuan because at that point the exchange rate was around 6.15 in 2014. The Chinese yuan is devalued to now it's about 7.
Yeah, no, I've heard that the airport currency exchange is actually a little bit more better than the bank from the U.S. system, I guess.
I mean, I've compared when I converted money tried to convert money here in the States versus in China. There's no comparison.
Is that cheaper?
Oh, it's much cheaper in China.
Okay.
I remember I converted $500 from I think 3,000 yuan, and I got charged maybe less than $10 for that whole commission. In the U.S., it would have been close to 80.
Oh wow!
at my bank. So it's night and day. It's night and day. Especially if you have a bank account in China, it's much easier. Now, every time I went to exchange currency, it would take anywhere from 15 minutes to 45 minutes because there was a lot of paperwork. I had to sign form after form, but then they'd issue me the USD for after I converted it. But it was worth it because you save a lot of money in the conversion. So I would say from everywhere I've exchanged, it's much better to do it in China.
Yes. I exchanged all this money, not all, but some of the money back in China when I was in a bank in China. I think I don't understand math, so I just went to the very a bank near, and I get it done. And it's funny because they have like annual limitation on the amount of money that you can do exchange.
Yes, that's right.
Right. Do you have that in the United States? If you want to
I actually don't know. I mean, I do know. I know with US you can't deposit more than $10,000 at one time without drawing a lot of attention. But I know that when I was in China as a foreigner, I can only convert 500 USD a day.
Yeah.
And Chinese but my girlfriend, for example, she can convert up to 50,000 every year.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like the annual limit. But for me,
there's an annual limit and you have to be very explicit on the purpose of that money.
Yes. And that's another thing is like, since I'm an American, I could buy because I'm an American citizen. But if I wanted to buy it, it wasn't a problem. But if I wanted to exchange it, I had to show receipts for it. So if I went to the bank one time and said, I want to buy USD specifically, not a problem. But if I said exchange, they said, we need you to show the receipts when you cash the money in. So that is another thing. So you have to be very, very specific in how you word it, how you want when you do the transaction. Yeah. Now, if you just have USD and you want to convert it into yuan, it's very easy. But to get dollars back from yuan, it's much more difficult, depending on if you're there as a student, working, or just traveling. Because if you're just traveling there and you convert money when you come in order to convert it back, you have to show the receipt that you converted it. Otherwise, they won't give it back to you in USD. Because the yuan is not an internationally tradable currency, at least for travelers.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's tradable, but if you're visiting there, you try to convert it back. I've had friends who tried. Nope, you don't have a receipt. You can't do it.
Oh wow.
And I don't have the full story, but I do know it's much more. How should I say it? Restrictive converting it back to USD. But if you want to convert, no problem at all. To get the local currency, at least in mainland China.
Yeah, and that's why I always try to sometimes even go low to the money that I try to exchange. So just because I don't want it to exchange it, I actually even keeping a little bit of foreign money in my pocket at all times. And on my trip to Japan, I had $100 left, and I knew I was gonna go back, so there's no need to exchange it.
No, I think it's very important if you're traveling, always keep some your home country currency on you in case you do when you go back.
I don't have RMB with me right now. I have no money, no Chinese money.
But my rule is I'd always keep at least $100 in cash with me, even if it wasn't with me while I was out. I have it in my hotel room or I have it in my dorm room, just in case I needed an emergency fund if I had to go back to the U.S. for any reason. But I would always keep maybe a few dollars in my wallet at any time, and then the local currency. But I think it just depends on your reason. If you're living there and if you're working there, or you're a student, it's much more it's not as big of an issue. But if you're there on a business trip, you need to be a little more conscientious about that.
Okay, I think it's enough when you have a Visa card.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Now that, especially on airport areas, I kind of understand the scare of not having hard currency, but for for somebody that's moved away from actually having any cash based currency, I'm strictly credit cards, and the reason that I'm strictly credit cards is because there's no fees that come with international. So
it depends on the credit card.
Oh yeah, of course. You have to get a credit card that doesn't have those international fees, but that's why.
Yeah, and I would say that, if like now, when I went back to China on one of my last business trips, I use my American credit cards to withdraw money in my one travel card, no foreign transaction fees. It's very nice. But when I was a student in China, I still mainly used my Chinese debit card or cash because I could have used my American credit cards, but because I wasn't living in the U.S., it wasn't really, I would have had to pay that by going through the U.S. banking system. So why bother when I'm living there and I have everything I need there? But now that I'm back, I'm more...
I know some Chinese students who are studying in the United States, they can actually use their Chinese credit cards to do everything, to pay their tuition and to buy things, buy groceries, and the parents can pay.
Yeah, especially if their Chinese credit cards have a Visa or MasterCard, access.
As long as the network exists, and I'm pretty sure, heck, I've seen even Union Pay as, like, I know this is the big Chinese payment network.
Yeah, my Chinese debit card is Union Pay, and actually I found that here in the U.S., Walmart, Denny's, and a few other retailers actually will accept it, so I can actually use it here in the U.S. at select retail locations or even restaurants.
If you're in that country, if you're in China, the biggest pay system can be
Alipay, yes.
Alipay, which is e-commerce.
Yeah,
and you bring up a really good point, Scarlett.
We don't need cash anymore. We don't even bring your cards with us every day. As long as you have a phone.
You just need a phone and need the Alipay app.
Yeah, you use your phone. You use WeChat or Alipay.
Yeah. I think that's something that it's gonna change a lot, especially in the coming years. You just start seeing, like, even vending machines and stuff like that accept these P2P payments such as Google Pay, Apple Pay, Alipay, WeChat, and I've actually, to my surprise, started seeing a lot more of this in Japan. Like, so the first time I went to Japan, it was all cash. Like, there was no way for you to use your credit card at almost anywhere. I mean, like, the 7-Elevens, like, they'll do it, but the other stuff, it was cash. And when I went there last week, it had all changed into WePay, Alipay, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, and that's a cool point because, like, when I first arrived in China in 2014, there was still a lot more cash. But the 4 years I was there, less cash, more Alipay, WeChat Pay, or they call it Jifubao. And
in recent years, I didn't remember myself carrying cash with me every day.
No, but because the longer I was there, the less cash I would carry because I would use, I first got there, I used cash for everything. By my last year in China, I used Alipay for almost everything. And I use WeChat Pay, but for me, I just gravitated toward Alipay because you literally just, okay, I want to get some breakfast. I pull up the app, pull up my QR code, they scan it, money's transferred. Or if I bought someone something and they wanted to pay me back, they just send it via
P2P.
Yeah. So it's very convenient. Although when I know at first, if you can move money from your bank account to Alipay without any like transaction fee, but now if you move Alipay, the money from Alipay back to the bank is like a 1% charge.
Yeah.
And that's changed since while I was there. And I know a lot of people were like, "What the?" when that happened.
I've started to see a lot of that happen, especially like with PayPal. They've started to crack down a little bit more on the transaction fees. I mean, granted, they need to make money somehow, and transactions always taking like 2% of every single transaction. I mean, that adds up.
I don't think that's a problem for Alibaba or for WeChat because these are really big companies back in China. They have many customers, and
so you think that they don't really even need to do that?
They don't really need to do that because they have money circulating in their accounts and they can do anything with that.
My facts may not be 100% correct, but I think this last Double 11 or they call Singles Day in China.
Yeah, that's my birthday.
The last check.
Your birthday? Oh, happy birthday!
So what a birthday!
What a birthday! You get cheap presents.
Not just cheap, but a lot of presents. But But I think that Alibaba did, I think, over 32 billion US in sales this past Double 11. Which, I mean, it's their, I'd say it's their version of Black Friday.
Yeah.
Yes.
And my girlfriend told me she bought 4,000 yuan worth of stuff, and I'm like,
that's
what?
an average level.
Yeah, I know, and I know other people who buy a lot more, and it's crazy. Like, she showed me a picture of like her housing complex, the mail area where the mail comes in. It was just wall to wall, ceiling to ceiling, or floor to ceiling, full of packages. I was like, oh my lord! I'm like, I feel so sorry for the delivery people.
Yeah. No. Actually, you brought up something very interesting that sometimes it kind of catches me, and I don't know how much I've actually spent.
Yes.
Is like the currency exchange in the value system that we all have in our head, right? So like we think like $1 is a pretty cheap thing, right? So like $1 here maybe buys you an apple.
$1 equals to 7 renminbi, 7 yuan, which is a little bit. Yeah, 7 is something.
I mean, so like a McDonald's meal here is what, like
Anywhere from
$7, $8,
$4 to $10. Like at the cheapest, at the low end, like I can get
combo.
I can get a number 9, which is a double cheeseburger meal, for as low as $4.19 if I get the smallest size of it. So I'd say $4.50 to $10 depending on what you buy. Whereas in China, like I bought a lot of stuff is between 20 and 40 yuan for the meals. My average is the double cheeseburger combo or 2 cheeseburger combo, however you want to call it, in China is like 25, 26 yuan. So it's pretty similar, but still the value. We're from the U.S. We think of things in dollars, but while I was in China, because I was there long enough, I actually started thinking in renminbi. In terms of value of what I could buy for what it's worth. So now I kind of can switch back and forth. But I know a lot of people they don't do that, or they haven't. I shouldn't say they can't do that. They just haven't got to that point yet.
I am still adjusting myself to U.S. money system, and I'm still trying to figure out $100 worth this.
Oh, and what's $100 US worth?
Yes.
Because
Chinese.
Because
700.
Yeah, 700. So
Okay.
like 100 RMB, how much that will, the purchasing power that has. But how does that compare to $100? What the purchasing power 100 USD has?
Yeah, $100 is quite a bit. Like
for a lot of countries, yeah, that's a lot. I mean, 700 in China. I mean,
actually, it's not a lot in Japan.
It's Japan.
Like in Japan, I fly through 10,000 yen like in a day almost.
Oh, ouch!
Yeah, because
That's how much US dollars?
100. So 10,000 yen is 100, and like because it breaks down very quickly from bills into coins. And once it starts going into coins, my brain goes, all right, this is pocket change. This is not money. But like a 500 yen, that's $5. So like I think the fact that a lot of our money system is done through the paper, right? And I mean, we have quarters, we have dimes, but I just don't use them.
I think
as
quarters
much.
are probably the most common because that's laundry, a lot of things.
Yeah.
But still, yeah. As Americans, coins, that's not worth anything.
Yeah. Yeah, coins at least coins to me. I only use it to get my shopping cart from Aldi's. That's about it.
It's kind of like in Taiwan, where like everything up to the 100 Taiwanese dollars like coins. So, but you can still go to the service store and buy a drink or a couple drinks with just the coins. So actually, the coins do add up quick. So you have to kind of adjust, especially like in Japan. $1 is 100 yen.
Yeah.
So if you like in Taiwan, $1 is 30 Taiwanese dollars. So if you go from a U.S. style currency where $1 is more to like something where you start off at 100 and go up, it kind of messes with your head a little bit if you don't really think about it.
Yeah. By far, the most annoying currency is the 1 yen or the penny. Because like 1 yen is like it's useless. The vending machines don't use it. Like you could give it to a 7-Eleven person, but maybe that even then is like it's like the most useless piece of currency ever.
Another fun thing going on that is that, like, if you go to the ATMs, like in different countries, in the U.S. you go to an ATM, you almost always will get 20s, sometimes 10s.
Yeah.
In China, you only get hundreds, which is
Yes.
the highest
Yes.
denomination bill.
Yeah.
So sometimes if you pull up money and you try to get something cheap, they don't want to take the 100 because you're buying a $4 yuan drink, and you're like, crap, I can't get anything smaller.
No, I feel you, man. I go to the 7-Eleven and I put a bottle of a soda bottle there, and I give them a 10,000, and they go, really?
Yeah.
It's like, here you go.
Many a time.
I can break down the change.
Yeah, many a times I've gone to a service station and I'm like, crap, I only have 100, and I can see the guy, and I literally am just saying, I'm sorry, I can't get anything smaller because, now if the bank's open, I can go in and get smaller denominations, but if you just go to the ATM, that's all you're gonna get, unless you go maybe to a restaurant and you can break it that way or just buy something, but. Many a times, like I said, they're less like, really? Or I clean out all their small bills because they have to give me that back, and I'm like, I'm sorry.
$100 is a lot. I paid the taxi driver when I first entered the United States $100, and he was trying to ask, "Do you have smaller cash?" Right.
Or smaller bills, yeah.
See, but actually, I mean, what a car fare from here to the airport's like $50.
Well, when I've flown back from China, like in Chicago, from Chicago to the hotel where I'd stay, it's like $50 one way. And it's pretty rough.
Half 100.
Whereas in China, I can go like in Hangzhou. I took a cab from one side of the city to the other. It was like 120, which is maybe just under $20. So I mean, on a cost basis, it's more like just in numbers, but value-wise, it's still a lot cheaper than $50 US if you're thinking from the US. But if you're in China, that's still a good chunk of money to spend on cab fare.
Yeah, I think that's actually something that I've started to notice drains our bank accounts, especially when you're in foreign countries, is transportation. Like,
yes,
sure. When I was out and about, like, it would be $20 for a cab fare almost anywhere. It's around $20 in Japan, and then on the train system, you can get almost anywhere with 200 yen, which is $2. But I mean, it's like per exit, right? So like they charge you per exit, so that's 1, 2, 3, and that just starts like whittling you down slowly but surely.
And I would say that's the difference, I'd say, between Japan and China in terms of kind of how it adds up, is that like I take the metro in Hangzhou like a long way, 6 RMB, which is like not even, like now it's like 80 cents, a little more 80 cents. So compared to Japan, it doesn't bleed you as quick. If you're at least if you're thinking in terms of USD. Yeah. And I'd spend maybe at most 20 yuan or renminbi a day on transportation. That'd be if I was going, a bunch of places. And that's like not even $3.
Yeah. Oh wow.
It's like $2.82 now, I think, around.
Yeah, I started to pick up the trick of like getting for transportation at least like day passes. So like you can get a day pass for like $6, and that helped a lot, especially during my last days where I only had like $40 left, and half of that was to get to the airport via the train. So,
Yeah, I did the same thing. I got a bus and subway card for Hangzhou that I could use, and it had like 2 different accounts on it, one for bus and one for subway, and I could just, fill it up every month for both and just scan it, and it would give me a discount for both the subway and the bus. So like it wasn't much, but it did help.
How much was that cost?
I think I remember when I got it, it was like I put like 50 yuan on it.
Okay.
It was like it was only a couple of Chinese yuan to get it. It was very cheap, so it was a good investment, especially if you're staying there for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
Get a subway card, get a bus card. It really is useful.
Yeah. So what's, from your experience, Carla, what is the thing that whittles you down most here in the U.S.?
I have to say transportation is one of the biggest issue. Since I don't have a car here, I go to school every day by bus. So it's like a $50 monthly. A monthly card. It's like a monthly card that I get from school.
So it's like $50 a month, like a bus fee.
For bus fee, yes. For transportation.
So you pay $50 a month, and you can take the bus as much as you want.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Local.
actually quite expensive.
That's
compared
really expensive.
in comparison. Yeah.
It's like 50 times 7.
Yeah. That's ouch.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and it's funny, as I know that a lot of people when they go abroad, especially if they're used to their currency, they see the foreign currency. Oh wow, it looks like monopoly money. And I remember when I was studying abroad in Europe, some of my American classmates, they thought, oh, it's just monopoly money, and I was like tapping, guys, it's worth more than ours right now, and they were like, oh yeah. And like whenever I would take money out for the week from my bank, I'd take like 100 euros out a week, and that's not a lot, but I can make it last. And every time I look at my bank statement, you just withdrew $130, and I'm like, oh. So that was just like not even around at the time like a 25-cent per dollar difference. The euro was like back in 2014. It was like $1 was like 0.74 euro cents. Now it's like 0.9, but still that hurt. So I mean, can you imagine 1 to 7?
Yeah.
That's totally different ball game.
It adds up. Like those currency exchanges.
So besides for transportation, what else have you found that is kind of will drain you here in terms of your financial buying power?
As an international student, I don't have to spend a lot. And here in the US, I think groceries and food comparatively not very expensive. I think they're okay. They're okay.
So
it's like it's only the rent and transportation and phone bills.
Yes. Yeah, especially I paid 30 yuan as a special student deal for my service in China, and I pay 170 for 2 lines here.
Deal.
Yeah, so that was even better. So that's like $5.
Do you even have a student deal here?
No.
They do. I mean, I think like I know like some universities, if you're a student, you can get a discount or something. But it's nothing like that. Not even close to that.
So which carrier are you with here?
AT&T?
Oh,
it's AT&T.
So yeah, so you're paying for a good service, but it's heck of expensive.
Yeah.
Actually, one of our previous internet foreign friends they used Cricket, which is like a watered down version of AT&T. They're owned by the same company.
What is funny is that I get this phone with another friend because it's like they have a special deal for
buy one get one, and
I just have to have an iPhone because I bring my Chinese phone, which is a Huawei device and all Google services are blocked there, so it's like I need to have a map because I'm in a foreign city. So I just have to have this phone. So I get this. I and my friend. We were in this contract and we get this phone together. Yeah, so he has this one and I had another. And we have to pay $400 each at the beginning to start this contract. And then there's a monthly payment of about $50.
Yeah.
So together it's like $100 a month divided between the two of you?
Yes.
And so
that's a 2-year contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the problem. So companies like AT&T and Verizon, they provide the best service. You're not gonna beat them. But
by best service, you mean?
So like you'll
compared to
you'll be able to make calls or get data almost anywhere in the U.S.
Yeah, almost any place you go, the still
not very
have
strong
service.
signal here.
So I think there's something shady going on with this apartment regarding data.
Okay.
I mean, if you're talking about service, I think China offers better service compared to America.
Oh, those are fighting words. I used to work for a telco.
Yeah, well, let's not get into a trade war here.
No, but the problem is that the services are extremely expensive, and
yes.
yeah, you the only reason that we make it cheap is because there's like 6 people in my plan, and that
family plan.
Yeah,
family
plan.
plans.
So like we water it down to like I pay like $20 a month. So it's not that bad overall. But yeah, $50 a month, that hurts. That hurts, especially with like all the we open up your account fee, and then we open up your phone bill.
Don't get me started on fees.
And like it's like you get like 50 fees at the beginning, but you know.
No, and honestly, you should always check your statements to make sure they're not giving you something that shouldn't be there. Because I know people catch that all the time. They're like, oh, they're stiffing me for that fee. That doesn't even apply to me.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. So besides for transportation and telecom service, but those are kind of. But what about?
I'm actually curious about. You said that food here is actually cheaper. So like what like a grocery in China you would spend N versus here M?
What do you think? I think the food prices are kind of the same.
It's similar, but I find that like certain kinds of fruits and vegetables are cheaper here. But then again, I would say because like if you go like it depends on what kind of grocery store you go to. If you go to a more base
of food is very acceptable. I like it, yeah. And you get fresher vegetables and fruits here.
And I'd also say the amount you get is more here too.
Of
the
course.
Size, not just like you go to restaurants, but when you go up to a grocery store, you can buy more quantity for a lower price. I mean, it's cheap in China for a lot of food, but I would say it depends. Now, the one difference is I think buying stuff at the grocery store or stores here is actually pretty cheap. But eating out in the U.S. is more expensive than in China in a lot of the times. Now, fast foods sometimes, but like because when I was in China, I ate it all the time because it was so much cheaper. If I do that here, I'd go bankrupt.
Yeah. With all this tipping and taxes.
Yeah.
By far, like the best thing about Asia is, or at least Japan, it's like no tipping. It's like
same in China, no tipping.
It's like no tipping, okay.
Well, yeah, like a typical lunch in Hangzhou where I was at cost me around 20 Chinese yuan, not under $3. Dinner maybe 30 to 50, depending on what it was.
Depends on what kind of food.
Exactly, but I would always eat more local food, so it was always very cheap. I would never spend usually more than 50 on any meal, unless it was a nice meal. If I went out with my friends or went out with my girlfriend, then it'd be maybe 50 to a couple hundred. But no, it's just. But if you want Western food, then it's really expensive. But I would say, generally speaking, eating out is more expensive in the U.S., but buying groceries can be either the same or maybe I could even say cheaper here, depending on what you buy.
I mean, my grocery is $40 for 2 weeks, so $80 a month.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the grocery store the other day because I like to go to shop at Aldi's. Yeah. I got a bunch of stuff for more than a week. It was $24.71 exactly.
Yeah, so like I think it's always where you go like, do you have like I don't go to Walmart. I have it's not because of any labor thing or anything. It's just because I'm a cheap man, and every time I go to Walmart, I always end up spending $200. I went there just to buy a box of cereal. And I got some detergent, and somehow this box of cereal and detergent equals $200.
Funny how all these extra things that, I do need that too. Oh, I think I need that too, just pop up when you go to places like that.
And when I go to Aldi's, it's like, it's like $10. It's like, what the heck just happened here?
What are the best choices of grocery?
Well, it really depends because different parts of the U.S. you have different stores. Now here in the Midwest, I mean, like in our area, Aldi's I'd say is probably the cheapest.
Yeah.
There's also Schnucks is a local store. Shop and Save, no, that's no longer here, unfortunately. And then Dierberg's. But I would say Schnucks and Dierberg's are kind of more on the high end. And I only go there for special things that I need. I get all my base things at Aldi's because it's so cheap. But then I go to the other stores if I need something very unique. Yeah. Like specialty foods or something. If there's a family event or function. Yeah,
like Walmart has the best bag of rice. You can get a 10-pound bag of rice for like $2. It's like amazing. Like you can get that.
Yeah, like my normal grocery shopping trip would be Aldi's and then Walmart or maybe one of the other two stores. And then it helps me better dollar cost average the amount of things I get.
Did you have like that type of feeling in China, I guess, like where like. Is there Walmart in China
or
an equivalent?
There are many different types of supermarkets.
Yeah.
超市, that's what we call them. Yeah. We have actually in China some parts there are many Korean supermarkets and Japanese supermarkets, and yeah. But people don't go to the grocery or supermarkets as you guys do, because it's like a necessity here. You have to go to get your food, but in China you have other choices. You can always find a market that serve vegetables and food, and you can go and buy your daily food there. It's just down the streets in the neighborhood. So
yeah, there was a farmer's market not far from where my girlfriend lived, and also campus, where you could go and buy fresh stuff. Right, they have everything laid out in a building or outside, and you can just get fresh vegetables,
meat, vegetables, everything.
Yeah, like a wet market. Yeah, and that's one thing that was kind of cool. Is literally you could go like to a farmer's markets, and then like on Sundays the farmers would bring some trucks in full of just produce, different types of. One day they came in with a huge number of like the juzi, like the little not clementines, but like little oranges, and I would just go there and I'd buy like a huge bag because they were super cheap. And then I just eat them every winter.
So for housewives in China, it's like every day. It's everyday grocery. You go to the market every day.
You know, I really like that, but like we were saying, you just can't do that here in the U.S. as much. Now, like some towns, like here, we have a farmer's market every weekend, and so people like to go there and get fresh produce, but usually they get it for the whole week. People buy like on a weekly basis, or
so that's why you have a lot of frozen vegetables.
Yes.
I don't have frozen vegetables. Vegetables are supposed to be vegetables, which is fresh.
The problem is, it's like you can only buy. It's like with I think the pace of work and everything here, you can get fresh stuff on the weekend, but you can't keep it that way all week, or it's harder to.
Yeah, I think it just goes bad really quickly here, because like as soon as I buy like a head of broccoli. Yeah, I literally have to either cook it or chop it up and put it in the fridge.
The freezer.
Freezer. So
that's why when I usually just buy a bunch of frozen vegetables, just a very general but good quality just frozen vegetables, and that way I'm good for a week or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But then if I like go on the weekend, I'll get maybe some fresh vegetables and prepare them. But
and I've actually seen that the frozen bags of vegetables are actually cheaper than the actual thing.
Yes.
Like I get 75 cents for a bag of like mixed vegetables, like cabbage. No, not cabbage. Broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots.
Yeah,
which is my favorite.
Yeah, like a lot of the places they'll have a large number of varieties of mixed vegetables, or you get just pure broccoli, pure whatever, and it can be anywhere from like 75 cents to a couple dollars. It's for just one.
Yeah, so I just buy like 10 bags of that, and then I just pop them in or stir fry them in. So like,
yeah, in my fridge I have like 2 or 3 of each kind, and I just pile them.
I'll start buying those frozen vegetables.
Well, I find it's just it's not the same as fresh, but it's a great way to keep just your diet a little bit more balanced. It can be in a cheap way.
It's convenient, and like the produce won't go as bad as quickly.
And and it's not the best food, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's much more healthy than a lot of other alternatives you could buy. Yeah. Okay. So we talked about that. Now I'm curious. So what do you think of like banking here versus banking in China? We kind of started off talking about that, but from your experience here, like using banks and getting money and paying your bills and stuff, what's your what's your opinion about it?
Well, banks are so different here. You have banks and you have credit unions. I have a account. I just opened this account, but I still have no idea what credit unions mean. And in the banks, I think in China, what do you think?
So like, who do you bank with? Or what is the most popular like banking?
Well, there's like in China there's like a group of big banks that like we have here.
Yes, you go to big banks.
Like there's ICBC, there's Zhongguo Yinhang Bank of China, ABC Agricultural Bank of China, China Construction Bank.
建设银行.
Yeah. So those are kind of the big ones you see all over the place. But then if every city or place, they have smaller ones. But but they're all very similar in their format.
So when you open up yours, was it less like in and out?
I have accounts from different banks in China, and I don't think they even ask for maintenance fees or administrative fees.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
they don't have that, but in bigger banks in China, in the United States, for example, the Bank of America, they ask for like a monthly payment.
No, don't even get me started on Bank of America in terms of fees. No offense, I'm just saying. But yeah, when I was in China, sometimes when I get an ATM, there'd be a service fee if it was a different one.
Yes.
But when it comes to maintaining the account, nothing. My Bank of America account I had before I closed it, if I didn't maintain at least $1,500 a month, it was a $12 a month service fee, which is obscene, in my opinion. So I do think that banks here are a little more fee heavy than the banks over there. But then again, I never got into more than just personal banking.
Yeah. I mean,
in China.
So have you? So what was your previous bank in the U.S.?
Oh yes, I opened this account when I first came here. It's from Commerce Bank. It's from Commerce Bank, and they gave us a great deal for opening that bank. And they have some requirements. If you meet that requirement, then you have $200 back.
Oh, nice.
Oh, so like they get a bonus.
I know.
Nice.
I have that $200 bonus right now in my account. It's a nice thing.
Yeah.
Hey, and I'm
free money is always nice.
Cancel that account now because you don't have that bank in this town.
Yeah, because you said that when you when you opened that first bank account, where you're at now, they don't have that bank anywhere close, which is quite not very convenient. So yeah. But so, what else can you tell us about like what you think of banking so far?
So, do you think the process was easy here, or compared to China?
I think it's almost the same. You have to do all the paperwork, and this bank clerk will help you with everything, right? And it's more like a face-to-face service in here. I think the girl who was helping me to open this account, she was like talking to me all the time, and in China that will not happen, I believe, because there'll be a lot of people waiting in the line, and you're supposed to be very efficient. And you don't expect yourself to be engaging in a personal conversations or something.
I totally agree. Like when I go to banks here, like, hey, how's it going? You small talk, they help you with everything. Whereas in China, it's just very cut and dry. There's usually there's a glass wall between you and the person.
Yeah, if you're a regular customer, you don't talk to this person face to face. You're waiting in the line, and there will be a glass wall in between.
Yeah, and sometimes I try to make conversation, and they look at me like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, you're doing all this paper. You're just waiting for this to process. We want to talk," but they're just like, "What?" Whereas here, no big deal. So I just find it more personal here, more personable, which is nice. I mean,
I think banks, especially in the U.S., care to have that customer to customer relationship.
Yeah, they definitely emphasize that more. I think it's also to help beat the competition.
Yeah.
How many banks do you have here?
There's quite a few. I mean, the big ones are Bank of America, U.S. Bank, Citi, Chase,
Wells Fargo.
Yeah, Wells Fargo. Do they have banking?
I know
they do loans a lot. I don't know they do a lot of loans.
And just like Merrill Lynch is owned by Bank of America.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of banks. The thing is like the big ones are probably those 4 or 5, and then you have like small ones like.
And then you have regional banks, mid-level banks, and then like the small banks. And I will say that from experience, the big banks, they definitely give you all the services, but they really can screw you over in terms of fees and a lot of the other things. So I would say for a lot of people, I would go either mid-level or low-level banks because I find the customer service is much better. They have much more value as a customer, and you get better deals. Like, I go to a credit union too, and I get really good rates, and they're very nice to me, and they always help me out.
Yeah, I think there's a difference with credit unions versus banks, right? Because a bank is a bank for everybody, right? You, me, and potato. But credit unions are more of a union, a membership, right?
Yeah, you're a member. You're
you
a member.
belong to this group, and actually, a lot of credit unions don't allow many people. They actually make sure that you meet a certain criteria.
Yeah,
and
I had
then from there you actually they provide the best service for you, and that's what they want, right? Those credit unions are there to help you because you meet their criteria.
Exactly. Yeah, like when I became a member of mine when I got my my second vehicle, and they financed a loan through my credit union, and they gave me a membership because of that. But otherwise, I would have never gotten in. But now that I'm a member, I really enjoy it because the interest is better, the service is pretty good, and I'm making a lot more interest in my credit union than I ever could at the other bank I was at before.
So you're saying the interest rates for from the banks are
generally credit unions do provide better service overall, and that also includes like interest and better returns on the accounts or even investments you can put finance to them.
So for banks, sometimes their savings account, the interest is typically low. But that's totally fine. It depends on what type how much you have to put in, right? But there's things like money market accounts, in which they're pretty much the same as like savings accounts, but they yield a higher interest.
Yeah.
But then you have to be having like 10K on that.
Yeah, a lot of those accounts they have you have to have a preset amount to
like
put
if you have this below, they'll give you 1%, right? Let's say, but if you have the above this account amount, they'll give you 10%. So like it's if you exceed the minimum requirement, your interest is like cashing in your wallet. Plus, they always have some bonus. So if you deposit any number amount, they'll give you 500 straight out.
Yeah. I know a lot of places they're trying to be more competitive. Like one credit union, they have like a special checking account where if you at least meet certain criteria every month, you get up to like 2 or 3% on your money a year. And if you have like a good chunk of money in there, it's not a huge amount, but it's going to be a lot more than you may make a couple $100 a year in interest, which is not great, but that's pretty darn good because most banks you just make cents or just dollars.
So we've been talking about a lot about banking, and in regards mostly debit.
Yes.
Debit banking, right? In which it's the money that you own and it's your money. I want to know, Scarlett, what's your thoughts on credit?
credit cards.
Credit cards.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you're so excited.
Oh, no, not at all. It's more a mix of like interest but also horror.
I think credit system. China also has this credit system that you will be like evaluated if you want to buy a house or a car or something, and it will depend on your credit, how much money you can loan and take from the bank. But I think every bank in China, they're trying to lure customer to have credit cards. Yeah, so that they can.
They can.
Do you think it's like a way for them to like kind of like get more money out of you, or is it? Do you see it as malicious, or is it like
more of a bad intent, or more of a neutral, or maybe even positive intent?
Well, about their intent, I cannot tell, but I think it's totally depends on individuals. What do you think of your credit? And
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, especially here in the U.S. because in order for you to make those big purchases like cars, like houses, like name it, we always look at your credit, right? And something that can be for or against you is your credit card, right? So like as you purchase through your history, right? A lot of people think of credit cards as microloans. And this is a very bad way of looking at credit cards because that means that you're racking up interest. instead of building good credit.
Exactly, because from the time you begin, like you have college loans, that's credit. You pay those off. That if you all because it all comes together into your credit score. It's common knowledge. But the more you pay your bills on time, you have good money habits, that will make your score go up. And that's what a lot of people don't realize is they look at credit cards. Oh my God, it's horror, it's evil. Oh, they're gonna take full advantage of me. And yeah, a lot of people that's the case. But if you learn about it and know how to manage it, it can actually be very good for you. Especially if you can find like cashback credit cards, travel credit cards. They give you points. If you can manage those very well, you actually can get money from them. Because you can have to spend money on things. That's inescapable. But if you can. You have to spend the money, and you can use a credit card to get something back. Well, why not? You just have to manage it correctly.
Yeah, so I'm an Amazon addict. I buy a lot of stuff from Amazon. Just because, like, now, I mean, heck, I can even do my grocery through Amazon. So, like, why not? And the thing that I got, because I'm a Prime member, was their Amazon credit card. And every purchase I do through Amazon, I get 5% back. And within a year, I was able to accrue, let's say, a couple $100.
Nice.
Like I was able to buy a very expensive server for free, and like I buy all my video games with that credit that I get. So like, I mean, that's like $60 per video game type of thing.
No,
so
that's
funny great. For firms like Amazon is considered as a company right now. The bank that they can give you and issue credit cards even, but in China only banks are allowed to do that.
Would Alibaba not have a credit card of their own?
Actually, the service is a kind of a credit system, but they don't call it credit card. It's like. If you use their money, and you can actually every month use the Ali service, and then it's a monthly, you have to pay it on a monthly basis. So it's like it's something like a credit card, but it's
because I get the sense.
Yeah, but that's a money system. I mean, for Amazon, it's a.
And what's really crazy about Alipay is that within Alipay, you can actually invest in the stock market. You can invest in CDs.
I think Alipay is taking over banks.
You can do all the same.
They are doing a lot of businesses that banks are supposed to be doing.
It's crazy. When I first got, I was like, oh my God, you can do all these things, and they even have what's called Yubal. And literally, it's like
envelopes. Is that?
No. Okay. It's basically like you put money, and they give you interest every day. So like. My girlfriend, she had she was getting almost 10 yuan a day in interest because she put a bunch of money in.
This is kind of like a bond.
Yes, I tried that.
Yeah.
You deposit money in that special service and you get an interest.
And it's, I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, there's nothing here that really compares to the rate of return because you get paid out every day. It's like, so,
only a small amount of money.
Sure. I mean, yeah, but I mean, like, my girlfriend had at one point I had like 100,000.
And you can always cash.
Yeah, you can still use it.
Cash out or deposit money. You can use it.
Yeah, because she was saving up for her house for a mortgage to pay off a big chunk of her mortgage. So she put it in there and she got like over 100,000 and she was getting like 10 plus a day. Yeah. And she just kept it in there until she finally had to spend it. But she made a good chunk of money just by leaving it there. And I'm just like, dang. And 10 yuan's not a lot, but that's over $1 a day. I mean,
yeah, that's very interesting because it's kind of like bonds or like a
money market,
and kind of like a stock almost.
Yeah, but the thing is, I have noticed that in the last few years the rate of return is going down. It started off very high, but now it's starting to go down. I think because it's unsustainable.
You think so?
You think so?
Well, I can't say for certain, but I mean, I think because it's generally gone down, the rate of return or the yield that people get, I just think because when they started it, it was very high. And as they say, nothing is completely sustainable forever.
So, like, give me an example of something that you would, quote unquote, invest in. Like
investing.
Like when you put the money in for the interest, right? Like, is it like you're putting money on a grocery store, right? Like, or is it like
Well, I think with EU,
like a service, like
with EU about it's just sitting there like a bank account. You don't.
It's a kind
You're
of
not
investment
actually.
itself.
You're not really investing in anything specific. It's just investing in the money in
You
Alipay.
just put money in it. It's an investment.
Yeah, so actually, like you're not. It's basically all through Alipay.
Is it pooled within a certain amount of people, like, or is
Everybody can do that.
But it's not. But there's nothing like it here
Like-
in a direct comparison.
like, can you and me put into the same one?
No, it's like
No,
individual by
if
individual.
Individual, okay.
You put money in an account, and then everybody. It's basically an app service, and if you have a phone, and you can.
Yeah, it's literally like basically a saving, basically like a special types of savings account within the Alipay system that you just gain interest on every day.
And you don't have to go to the bank and do all the paperwork.
No
You
paper
just
or
put
anything.
money
You
in
just
it.
as long as you have an Alipay account, you can do it. But now one thing that's very important, as a non-Chinese, I cannot do it. So my girlfriend can do it. I can use Alipay. I can do all that, but I can't invest anything because I'm not a Chinese citizen.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is very unfortunate, but
I actually don't really make money out of that service because I spend all the money. They have really good deals on special occasions like November the 11th and stuff. You spend all this money you get.
well, another thing I found was interesting was that in China, like when I was a student, I saved up a good chunk of money. I remember I put my money into a CD through my bank, and it had almost a 3% interest rate, which I mean that's really high. And I saved up a bunch of money, didn't need it, so I put it in for a year, and I got a good return out of it from that. So I found that just that the percentage yield or the rate of return was a little higher. Now it has gone down, but back in 2015, 2016 when I did that, it was about 3% for that CD that I just did. I'm like, well, I'm not using the money, I might as well put it to use. And I got a good chunk of return or a good chunk of change from that from just having it in a year.
I think for my parents' generation, because my mom always loved to go to the banks or the post office, and they can buy, and she always buy this service or products from there, and just basically deposit money in one product, and then she'll wait for a year and she get money back. A lot of, I think, there are people from their generation, they love to buy products from banks in China.
Well, like commodities.
Yes, like commodities, they just buy products and they invest money, and the bank take all this money to do something, right? And they get part of that, can share a part of that interest.
Yeah. Well, just like if you buy gold or other commodities here,
Yes.
people do that as kind of a hedge their bet against the market by having some solid bullion or silver in their account or in their investment portfolio.
It'd be very interesting to talk about maybe in a future episode regarding the stock or investments like this.
That is a whole.
It's kind of night and day. I know compared to here.
Yeah, the stock market in China is very different from the stock market here. Not in structure, but just in terms of like volatility and the how people use it or can lose or win.
Do you guys invest money in stock market?
Yes, we do.
Oh, you both do that?
Yeah, so like the problem is that that's kind of a big part of retirement.
Yes.
For in the United States, in order for you to have a livable retirement, you need to have some type of investment.
And I would say that it's not more like trading. It's more we look at it as more of a long term. It's not like I say China. I know a lot of people. It's all about get the quick flip. They buy a stock, it goes up, and they sell it. Here, yeah, people do that, but most investors, they buy into like a mutual fund, an ETF, something that's designed to grow slowly, steadily. So maybe when they retire, they'll like doubled or because now the average return of the stock market's been like around 7%, since or 7% give or take. So the goal is to just you add money every month to it, your portfolio, and it just grows. Of course, it's going to go up and down. At the end of the day, it's going to end up statistically speaking higher than when you began. I mean, thus far.
Inflation occurs, so.
And that's another reason why people use the stock market. It usually beats inflation.
Yeah.
Because most bank accounts, you're actually losing money over time because inflation is going to actually cut down how much money you really have.
Exactly. Yeah. So. Yeah, it would be very interesting to speak retirement in foreign countries. That'd be
Yes,
nice.
that would be.
Yes.
So Scarlett, so any last things you want to mention about banking here before we wrap up today?
I'm still trying to figure out the banking system and see if I can get some benefits from it. Yeah, I'll try.
You definitely can,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of people don't really have a huge interest in it, but I think if you just put a little time and effort into it, you can really. Wow, I didn't know that. You'll actually create more
I
interest.
actually know some people, some Chinese students here in the United States. They earn money. They get money from their bank account. They have several bank accounts. I have people telling me that. Yeah. So.
Uh-oh.
It's nice. It's not bad.
No, yeah, it's you
always can find the chances to getting bonus, like the $200 that I get from Commerce Bank. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think regardless at the end of the day, regardless of where you do business, where you earn money, make money, spend your money, if you take the time and effort to get to know every place's system, you can benefit from it.
Yes.
But unfortunately, a lot of people don't.
you gotta know how to play the game.
You should have a lecture on that.
What's that?
On campus. You should try to organize. You should have you can have a class on that.
Well, I just think that anytime people or students, travelers go
As
abroad.
an international student, when I went to the orientation, they didn't tell me anything about banking or bank that you can turn to, and they just gave us a list of things that you should do, and open a bank account from a bank. That's it.
Oh wow.
Well, and
it's scary. For
having
me
been
to
an
go.
international student myself, that's much easier said than done.
Yeah.
And
it's so unfair. The Chinese university offer good service because you.
Yeah. I mean,
You have your
they
bank
set
account
you up,
already.
man. Like she had to go out and research it by
And
herself.
all the paperwork, of course, are in English.
Well, all the paperwork was in Chinese, so
yeah,
just to
but
say.
you can help.
Yeah. So I can't complain too much, but no, I do think that is something that definitely there needs to be more discussion about this at all levels, because financial literacy and education is something that really is lacking, not just here but all over the place. And I think if more people actually are given the opportunity to learn about it, you'll actually have less financial instability in the world.
So yeah, banking in foreign countries. So this was a fun topic. I actually had quite a bit of fun. If you guys want to shoot us an email at internationalimmersionspodcast@gmail.com with your thoughts or any topics that you guys would like to discuss in the future, please send us a email, fax, depending on where you are in the world, and then
and we will review your comments, and you'll give us good ideas of what content we can create in the future.
Yeah, so just signing off. Adios.
Goodbye, or 再见.
再见. See you next time.
See you next time.